Hello, my podcast accelerator member people. Today, we're going to be talking about how to monetize your podcast. I'm going to drop this video first because this is what I want you to focus on before you focus on any of the other podcast monetization strategies. This is the easiest, the fastest, the quickest, the simplest, the most effective way to monetize your podcast. And it's what you need to start with first, because it also is going to continue to grow your business and your brand instead of growing somebody else's. All the things like sponsorships and ads, those are great to bring in additional revenue. But when you're first starting off with your podcast, if you haven't already implemented this, even if you're 500 episodes in and you haven't implemented this yet, this is what you need to focus on first. All right, so let me ask you a question. Do you have one-on-one services? Do you have a membership? Do you have a course? Do you have coaching? Do you have digital products? Do you have a storefront? Do you have some kind of way that people are giving you money in exchange for something else? I'm going to guess that your answer is probably yes, because most of my people inside here are entrepreneurs. They're in the online space, be it coaching, courses, service providers, what have you. Most of my people in here are online entrepreneurs. So I want you to make a list of all of the ways that people are paying you, all of the ways you're bringing money into your business. I want you to look at this list and think, how can I use my podcast to draw people into these paid offers? So this is once you get past your first initial episodes and you've started bringing that value, people are liking you, they're trusting you, they know that you know what you're talking about. Now it's time to get them to convert into paying customers. So whether you want to start that with a small offer, this is like the least barrier to entry. Like if it's a digital product or like a quick training on something. So something that's like lower ticket, like under $100. Those are going to be the easiest sales. So if you're like feeling funky about selling on your podcast, make it one of those small offers first. Like you could do like a checklist or an ebook. And you're going to create a podcast episode that is centered around the content that's available in that small offer. So create a podcast episode talking all about the subject that is available through that paid offer. Like, for example, in a couple of weeks, which this is April, so you guys will be watching the replay too, but in a couple of weeks, we're doing a paid live workshop on how to plan your first or next 10 podcast episodes. Don't worry, you guys will get that for free. So taking that as an example, once we do the live workshop, I'm going to convert it into like just a regular old paid offer. Somebody can purchase it. So say I wanted to promote that through the podcast. I do a podcast episode all about how important it is to plan your episodes, how a lot of people get hung up and stop producing podcast episodes or never get started in the first place because they don't know what to talk about. They don't know if that's for sure what their audience wants to hear. They don't know if they're putting the right information out there. So this training is going to help them figure those things out. So I'm basically going to give them like the bird's eye view. We're not going to like give them templates for free. We're not going to give them like the full strategy, but we're going to tell them what we're talking about, why it's important, why they should care, and a little bit about how we solve the problem. So you're going to give them like the bird's eye view, the strategy. You're not going to go real in depth, just enough to get them to want more. So then, of course, at the end of the episode, you're going to say, if you want my full strategy, as well as the episode planning templates, as well as a recorded training on how you can go from no episodes to 10 episodes in a matter of an hour, then you need to click the link in the show notes or go to whatever URL, make it a short URL, like allthingspodcasting.com/10 episodes. So you're going to give them that link. link it up in the show notes, tell them that they can get in on that training, and you can even do a coupon code, like use the coupon code podcast if you decide to purchase, and you'll get $5 off or whatever. And that'll also help you figure out who is listening to your podcast, because obviously the people who are using the coupon code podcast are listening to the podcast. And it'll help you figure out how your podcast episode converted so that you can go back and try to improve, switch things up, and do better next time. So that's kind of like one strategy of doing it. Another way is to do an ad in the middle of your podcast episode. Our podcast does this. We're going to rotate through and kind of switch it up as things come in and out of season for us. But this is just a pre-recorded ad, just like you would do for somebody else, but you're doing it for yourself, for your own business. So I'd probably go something a little higher ticket or a reoccurring revenue stream for this ad. So like a membership, a course, one-on-one services. So you're going to record an ad. Basically, I like to put music behind it. So like the same music we use for our intro and outro, I stick behind it just so that people don't feel like I'm like tomfoolering them. That's not a word, but we're going with it. Tomfoolering them into listening to an ad. Like this is an ad. So like we play the music, and I even say like, I would like to interrupt this podcast episode to bring you a quick ad for blah, 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 blah. So you're basically going to say like, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming that you're an online entrepreneur that's tired of the social media hustle and wants to create one piece of content that you can use to market your business across every platform. So that's kind of like calling out the people who are right for the product. And then you're going to say, we have the doors open right now for X, Y, and Z course. The doors will close on this date. Again, you can give them a podcast coupon code and just tell them to enroll. Like if you enjoy the podcast, if this content is valuable to you, then, you know, there's going to be so much more inside this course that is going to take you to the next level, is going to give you the inside look of how we do all these things. So, and you're going to pre-record that, put it with music, and then just plug it into the middle of each episode. So it makes it really easy for you or whoever's editing your podcast to just plug that in. You don't have to remember to do it. So that's a really simple strategy. But always, 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 I want you all to have a call to action in your formal outro, which you should have already done if you used the scripting for success method. So always have that call to action in your outro, and then also try to do an episode specific call to action. So like we talked about, like the episode planning thing, like you can do a paid something, you know, that you want them to do. At the end of the episode, you can have them message you with a question or like their favorite ice cream or whatever, just something to get the conversation going. You can have them join the Facebook group. You can have them sign up for a freebie, but we always want to be moving them through the funnel. Your podcast is not the beginning or the end of your funnel. It is the middle. It is the meat. This is where people build that know, like, and trust with you. They usually find you somewhere on social media. Sometimes people find you from your podcast. It happens. If they're searching for something specific in Apple, but typically they find you on social media somewhere, and or Google, they find your website, then they come to the podcast, binge all of your content, and then they convert to customers. So that's kind of like the flow of how the podcast funnel works. So you always want to make sure that you're optimizing that middle of the funnel and making sure that you're giving value, you're giving options for how to work with you and how to take that next step. And you're always giving a call to action, because if somebody's binging your podcast, they want to know what to do next. They don't want to like be left hanging and like reaching out to you like, hey, how do I, you know, what's the next step? I don't know, like if you have a program that's right for me or whatever. They want to know that next step and know that there is an option for taking things further with you. So your guys' homework, figure out how you are going to monetize your podcast for yourself. Make a list of all the different ways, the different examples of things like I gave you that you can do and how that correlates back to your business. You can work these things in and intertwine them together. When you have figured out your first kind of monetization bucket list item, I want you to post it in the Facebook group so that we can read it and help you all out and let you know. If there's any resources that you all would like to go along with this video, let me know if you'd like those. I thought about providing a script for like doing an ad for yourself, but it's so individualized that really whatever copy you're using, like for the sales page, you're just kind of like grab bits and pieces of that and make it like a 30-second ad. So just like the real juicy parts, include that and that's it. And it changes so much based like on if it's a course or a membership or one-on-one services and what it's for. So but I can definitely help you guys kind of troubleshoot that inside the group. So if you have like an ad script you've written up, post in the group, and then we'll help you walk through it. And don't forget to post how you're going to start with monetizing your podcast. And I'm excited to check it out. Good luck, guys.